What does it take for a WNBA star to fall so far out of favor that a global shoe company quietly begins backing away from an entire marketing campaign built around her? Angel Reese is discovering that answer in real time. While her signature sneakers sit untouched on clearance racks and discount websites just months after launch, Caitlin Clark's Nike Kobe colorways are dominating professional basketball courts, becoming the two most worn shoes in the NBA. The contrast is impossible to ignore. On one side, a player whose brand appears to be collapsing under controversy and declining consumer interest. On the other, an athlete whose influence is expanding so rapidly that it is reshaping how women's basketball is marketed at the highest level. Behind the scenes, whispers surrounding Reebok suggest a looming decision that could permanently alter Reese's endorsement future. While Nike has positioned Caitlin Clark not merely as a sponsored athlete, but as the centerpiece of a generational revolution. When Caitlin Clark walked through the glass doors of Nike's global headquarters in Beaverton, Oregon, it was immediately clear that this was not a routine corporate visit. Employees lined the halls, applauding as she entered. The building itself had been transformed to celebrate her presence. Custom cookies stamped with her logo sat neatly arranged on tables. Coffee cups carried her initials. Banners displaying her image stretched across walls from floor to ceiling. This was not marketing theater. It was a statement. Nike was signaling, internally and externally, that Caitlin Clark had arrived as their new standard bearer. Most elite athletes receive a tour, a handshake, and a polite meeting with brand executives. Clark received something closer to a coronation. The kind of reception once reserved for icons like Michael Jordan. Every detail of the headquarters reflected her brand. Employees wore specially designed CC merchandise produced exclusively for her arrival. Many basketball hoops were set up throughout the facility, where Clark casually engaged staff, jokingly promising a day off if she made a shot. When she missed, she laughed it off, owning the moment with effortless confidence. That natural charisma, paired with competitive fire, is exactly what Nike executives see as irreplaceable. To them, Clark didn't look like a guest. She looked like she belonged, like someone who owned the space. Nike's belief in Clark quickly moved beyond symbolism. She was placed at the center of the company's massive Christmas Day from Anywhere campaign, a prime marketing window traditionally dominated by NBA superstars. Surrounded by cultural heavyweights such as Travis Scott, Travis Kelce, Jason Kelce, and Michael Che, Clark wasn't treated as a supporting figure. She was the focus. The campaign launched during nationally televised NBA games, sending a message that Nike was not simply promoting a talented shooter. They were building a cultural movement around her. The theme aligned perfectly with Clark's game. Her seemingly limitless shooting range and ability to drain shots from distances that forced defenders to rethink reality. Nike didn't just market her talent. They built an entire strategy around her identity as an athlete who redefines what is possible on a basketball court. The seriousness of Nike's commitment became undeniable when CEO Elliott Hill personally purchased $1 million worth of Nike stock immediately after confirming Clark's signature shoe deal. In the corporate world, that kind of personal financial move speaks louder than any press release. It sent a clear message to investors, executives, and competitors alike. Nike believes Caitlin Clark represents the future. The 8-year, $28 million deal she signed became the most lucrative shoe contract ever awarded to a women's basketball player. But the money alone fails to capture the full scope of Nike's plan. The red carpet treatment, the trans headquarters, the Christmas campaign, and the executive-level buy-in all point to one conclusion. Nike is betting that Clark can fundamentally change how women's basketball is perceived, consumed, and monetized worldwide. Meanwhile, Angel Reese's signature partnership with Reebok tells a starkly different story. When her shoes initially launched, the rollout followed the familiar script of a major endorsement deal. Promotional buzz, social media pushes, and expectations that her college success and WNBA accolades would translate into immediate consumer demand. That demand never arrived. Months later, her shoes remain unsold, marked down repeatedly as retailers struggle to clear inventory. Store managers quietly admit that the product simply isn't moving. The difference between Reese's stagnant sales and Clark's instant sellouts couldn't be more brutal. Industry insiders suggest Reebok is now reassessing the partnership entirely. When a brand begins questioning whether to continue supporting a signature athlete, the numbers are usually beyond concerning. Reports indicate that executives are exploring ways to distance the company from a deal that has become more liability than asset. While Clark's Nike products sell out within hours and command premium resale prices, Reese's shoes continue to collect dust even after deep discounts. The data paints a devastating picture. What was expected to be a breakout endorsement has instead become a cautionary tale. Reebok initially believed Reese's personality, style, and college fanbase would convert into long-term commercial success. They anticipated that her on-court physicality and outspoken nature would resonate with consumers. Instead, the market response suggests the opposite. Controversy may generate attention, but it does not guarantee purchasing behavior. Fans might engage online, but that engagement has not translated into people opening their wallets. In professional basketball, credibility matters. NBA players are. What's unfolding between Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise and Angel Reese's commercial struggles isn't just a rivalry narrative pushed by fans or media algorithms. It's a case study in how modern sports branding rewards consistency, credibility, and emotional intelligence while quietly punishing volatility. In today's endorsement ecosystem, shoe companies aren't simply selling rubber and foam. They're selling identity, aspiration, and trust. Caitlin Clark has become the embodiment of all three. Her image projects focus, humility, and relentless excellence, qualities that resonate far beyond women's basketball. Parents feel comfortable buying her shoes for their kids. Coaches respect her work ethic. NBA players trust her footwear enough to wear it under the brightest lights. That kind of universal buy-in is marketing gold, and Nike recognized it early. They didn't just sign Clark, they integrated her into their innovation pipeline, allowing her voice to influence product development in ways most athletes never experience. This level of collaboration signals long-term belief, not a short-term hype play. Meanwhile, Angel Reese's situation exposes the other side of the branding equation. Reebok didn't fail to market her shoe. They failed to predict how sustained controversy would erode consumer confidence. In the sneaker world, perception becomes reality very quickly. Once buyers associate a product with negativity, resentment, or drama, price cuts rarely reverse the damage. Reese's on-court success is real, but success alone no longer guarantees commercial longevity. Sponsors want athletes who stabilize brands, not ones who introduce unpredictability. Every viral outburst, every public complaint, every perceived slight compounds into risk calculations made behind closed boardroom doors. And while fans may debate fairness online, corporations operate on data, not emotion. Sales numbers don't lie. Where rates don't lie. Retail feedback doesn't lie. When NBA the uncomfortable truth for many athletes watching this situation unfold is that the modern sports economy has permanently fused performance, personality, and perception into a single, inseparable package. What happens on the court is no longer evaluated in isolation. It is interpreted through interviews, social media behavior, locker room reputation, and the emotional tone in athlete projects when things don't go their way. This shift did not happen overnight, but it has accelerated dramatically in the last decade as fan access expanded and brand visibility became constant rather than seasonal. In this environment, athletes are no longer just competitors, they are living narratives. Every reaction reinforces or weakens that narrative, and companies invest not only in talent, but in predictability. Caitlin Clark benefits from this reality because her public image amplifies her basketball value instead of competing with it. Her demeanor under pressure mirrors her play style, controlled, deliberate, and relentlessly focused on execution. That consistency builds trust, and trust is the single most valuable currency in endorsement relationships. Trust matters because brands are risk-averse by design. They do not need perfection, but they need alignment. When a company signs an athlete, it is implicitly tying its reputation to that individual's future decisions, emotions, and public behavior. That calculation becomes especially sensitive in women's basketball, where the commercial ecosystem is still expanding and every major endorsement is scrutinized as a test case. Caitlin Clark's rise fits neatly into this structure because her story is easy to communicate and difficult to disrupt. She represents progress without confrontation, dominance without hostility, and ambition without resentment. That doesn't mean she is passive or manufactured. It means her competitiveness expresses itself through mastery rather than conflict. Fans respond to that because it feels aspirational rather than exhausting. Sponsors respond to it because it scales globally without needing constant damage control. Angel Reese's situation highlights the opposite side of this equation, not as a judgment of her talent, but as a reflection of how modern branding punishes volatility. Athletic ability alone no longer guarantees commercial success, especially when visibility increases faster than emotional maturity in the public eye. Reese's journey shows how quickly perception can harden once audiences and partners begin associating an athlete with instability rather than growth. Even when criticism is subjective or exaggerated, the accumulation of negative narratives creates hesitation. Sponsors don't need an athlete to be universally loved, but they do need to know that controversy won't overshadow product messaging. When headlines become unpredictable, marketing departments shift from expansion to containment, and that shift is often irreversible. The gap between Clark and Reese is therefore not just about shoes, sales, or social media reactions. It's about narrative gravity. Clark's narrative pulls stakeholders toward her because it promises longevity. Reese's narrative, fairly or unfairly, has begun to repel stakeholders because it suggests friction. In commercial terms, friction equals cost. Every clarification, every crisis response, every internal debate about optics drains momentum. Brands would rather invest in athletes who allow campaigns to breathe than those who require constant monitoring. That reality can feel harsh, especially to players who believe their competitive fire should be celebrated rather than sanitized. But the marketplace does not reward emotional authenticity unless it aligns with consumer comfort. That tension is one of the hardest lessons modern athletes must learn. Another factor widening this divide is peer validation. When elite players adopt a product organically, it sends a signal that cannot be replicated through ADV. Advertising alone. Clark's footwear being worn at the highest levels functions as a form of silent endorsement that resonates deeply with serious basketball consumers. Players trust players more than commercials. This kind of validation compounds quickly. Athletes notice what their peers wear, fans notice what athletes choose, and retailers notice what moves without discounting. Once that cycle begins, momentum becomes self-sustaining. Reese's challenge is that her brand has not achieved that same organic adoption, and without it, marketing has to work harder for diminishing returns. The psychology of consumers also plays a critical role. People don't just buy products, they buy associations. When someone purchases a signature shoe, they're buying into a story about who they want to emulate. Clark's story offers clarity, work ethic, composure, and excellence under scrutiny. Reese's story, at least in public discourse, has become fragmented, sometimes defiant, sometimes confrontational, sometimes overshadowed by off-court narratives. Fragmented stories are harder to sell because they lack a single emotional hook. That doesn't mean they can't be redeemed, but redemption requires time, humility, and consistency. Three things that cannot be rushed or forced by marketing budgets. This is why the contrast feels so stark, even when both athletes remain elite competitors. One is being elevated by systems designed to amplify reliability, while the other is being slowed by systems designed to protect brand from reputational risk. These systems are invisible to fans, but decisive behind closed doors. Executives rarely speak publicly about these dynamics, but they act on them relentlessly. Contracts are reviewed, projections are adjusted, and contingency plans are quietly drafted. When an athlete senses that shift, it often feels sudden and personal, even though it has been building gradually through months of internal discussion. There's also a generational dimension to this.